Ever been at a conference, like buzzing with ideas, and someone asks a question that just kind of hits home?
Oh, yeah.
That's how I felt listening to Nikki Anderson's Q&A at UXCon Vienna, the topic. Proving the ROI of user research.
Right.
Particularly all those qualitative insights that we get.
Yes.
So get ready, because today's Deep Dives is like having those backstage passes to that session.
Yeah, we're not just observing, we are extracting the gold. Nikki shared some incredibly practical strategies for turning those aha moments from qualitative research into concrete impact.
You've probably been there, right? A room full of stakeholders, spreadsheets galore.
Yep.
And you're trying to explain how those user interviews are worth more than just a gut feeling.
Totally.
Well, Anderson tackled this head-on in her session, and we've distilled the essence just for you.
One of the first questions she got was such a classic, how do I even begin to calculate ROI on something like qualitative data?
Yeah.
And it's so tempting to get lost in that mindset of I need hard numbers for everything.
Right.
Give me the spreadsheet.
Exactly.
But Anderson's response was brilliant.
Okay.
She said, instead of trying to force qualitative data into a spreadsheet, think of it this way. Qualitative research reveals the why behind user behavior.
Okay.
And once you understand the why, you can craft solutions that actually work.
I like that.
Light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Think about it. A company might be laser focused on a dip in their subscription renewals.
Okay.
Right? We might hear this called churn rate.
Right.
But until they understand why people are leaving, any fix is just a shot in the dark.
Totally.
It's just a guess. She gave a great example about a sauce company that was struggling with exactly this. They did in-depth interviews with customers and realized their once sleek dashboard had become so feature-packed that it was actually driving people away.
Wow.
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Classic case of a company being so close to their product,
Right.
they lost sight of that user experience.
Yeah.
But that's where the qualitative research swooped in to save the day.
It's like they say hindsight is 20/20, but good user research gives you that foresight before it's too late.
Yes, exactly.
So this company, they took those interview insights to heart. They simplified their dashboard based directly on what users said they needed. And guess what? Churn rates plummeted 15%.
That's huge. Huge. And that's the magic right there.
Yeah.
Qualitative insights driving tangible action, which then translates into those measurable results everyone's after.
Right.
Reduced churn means those customers stuck around longer, boosting their lifetime value, which equals, you guessed it, more revenue for the company.
Okay, so that's a slam dunk for when the impact is easily tied to dollars and cents.
Yeah.
But what about those times when it's less about immediate financial gain and more about, say, staying ahead of the curve?
Yeah, that's where aligning your research with broader company objectives becomes really key.
Okay.
Anderson argued that even if you can't say, this insight made us X amount of profit,
Right.
you can say, this insight helps us better reach our target market by, and then fill in the blank.
Okay.
And she had a perfect example about this too. It involved a B2C app focused on young adults. They were doing exploratory research, and a surprising trend emerged. Users were increasingly comfortable with voice-activated commands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like Alexa and Siri and all that?
Exactly. And it wasn't a core feature of the app at the time, but they recognized that it was only a matter of time before users started expecting this kind of functionality.
Oh, absolutely.
So rather than playing catch-up, they got ahead of the game. They used that qualitative insight to inform their product roadmap,
Smart.
ensuring they'd be ready to meet their users' evolving needs.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that is invaluable, anticipating what your users will want even before they do.
Right.
And in the fast-paced world of tech, that kind of foresight can be the difference between leading the pack and becoming obsolete.
For sure.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah. We've all been there, right? Those high-stakes stakeholder meetings
Oh.
where you're presenting your research findings,
Uh-huh.
and it feels like the room could just erupt at any second.
With drugs.
Especially when those findings might challenge existing assumptions
Right.
or suggest a change in direction.
For sure.
It can feel like walking a tightrope.
Totally.
So how do we navigate those potentially choppy waters?
Yeah.
Well, Anderson's got some really insightful advice on this.
Okay.
She talks about the importance of creating a safe space for these conversations.
Love that. Yeah.
It's about shifting the dynamic from this us versus them
Yeah.
to we're all in this together.
We're a team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anderson stressed the importance of setting really clear expectations right from the start. So before you even dive into, here are the findings,
Right.
you need to get everyone on the same page about the purpose of the meeting.
Exactly. What are we doing here, folks?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let them know this isn't about pointing fingers. It's not about placing blame.
It's about gathering information and perspectives.
Yes.
So we can, as a team, again,
Together.
make the best possible decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about making it clear that you value their input
Yes.
and that you're there to listen just as much as you're there to share your findings.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where empathy comes in, a skill we often emphasize in user research.
Of course.
But it's just as crucial when dealing with stakeholders.
Big time.
It's easy to forget that
Yeah.
stakeholders, they're dealing with their own pressures and their own priorities.
Context is everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Taking the time to understand their perspective can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Anderson actually shared a story about a time that she was practically yelled at by a stakeholder during a presentation.
Oh, man.
Talk about relatable content,
In there.
right?
Yeah.
I remember that from the article.
Yeah.
It really humanized the whole experience.
For sure.
And you know what? Despite that experience, she's still such a huge advocate for open communication and empathetic listening.
She's amazing.
I know, I love that.
Yeah.
She said that experience taught her the power of asking open-ended questions, non-confrontational questions.
Yes.
It's about inviting dialogue rather than putting people on the defensive.
Totally. Yeah.
So instead of saying, like, why wasn't this feature adopted by users?
Right.
You could ask, what were some of the factors that you think might have influenced the adoption rate of this feature?
I love that.
Right.
Much softer.
Yes.
Invites a conversation.
It does.
Yeah.
It invites a more nuanced and collaborative conversation,
Yeah.
which is ultimately what we're aiming for.
Exactly.
Now let's switch gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about another crucial aspect of measuring the impact of research. How do we turn those really rich qualitative observations into data points
Yeah.
that even the most number-oriented stakeholders can appreciate?
Oh, the eternal struggle, right?
Yeah.
Qualitative versus quantitative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Anderson had some great strategies for this. One approach she highlighted was identifying themes and patterns in your qualitative data. So for instance, let's say you're conducting user interviews for a new mobile banking app,
Okay.
and you keep hearing people say they find the process of transferring money between accounts
Yeah.
to be confusing.
Very common pain point.
It is.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out why.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a theme.
It is.
And the beauty of qualitative research is that it not only reveals those pain points, but it helps us understand the why behind them.
Yes.
Maybe users are confused about the different account types or the steps involved in initiating the transfer.
Maybe they're just used to their old banking app
It should be.
and they're having trouble adjusting.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we've identified the theme confusion around money transfers.
What's the next step?
All right, so now we start quantifying.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, users find this confusing, you could say, out of the 20 users we interviewed, 15 of them, or 75%, expressed confusion about the process of transferring money between accounts.
Ooh, I like it.
There you go.
Suddenly, that qualitative observation carries a lot more weight.
Right.
Now we're not just dealing with anecdotes. We've got numbers to back them up.
Data-driven, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those numbers become even more powerful when you can connect them back to potential business impacts.
100%.
So in our mobile banking example, maybe those confusing money transfers are causing people to abandon the app altogether
Yeah.
or switch to a competitor.
Ouch.
Oh.
That's not good.
And suddenly, that soft qualitative insight about user confusion has very real and potentially costly implications for the business.
Absolutely, when you put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about making the app easier to use. It's about reducing churn, improving customer satisfaction, and ultimately impacting the bottom line.
The bottom line, the holy grail.
It is.
Yes.
Now, in addition to quantifying those themes, Anderson also talked about leveraging existing data sources to add even more weight to your findings.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about things like website analytics, app usage data, customer support logs, all those treasure troves of information that are often just waiting to be mined.
Sitting there waiting for you.
I know.
Yes.
For example, let's say you're working on a B2B SaaS platform and your qualitative research has revealed that users are finding a particular feature difficult to use.
It happens.
It does.
All the time.
So you can then dive into your product analytics to see how often that feature is being accessed, how long users are spending on it, and what they're doing before and after they interact with it.
Click by click.
Yes.
Yeah.
So If your qualitative data tells you people are struggling with this, but your product analytics show that people are using it frequently and successfully.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
That's valuable information.
It is.
It might indicate that while the feature isn't the most intuitive,
Right.
it's still meeting a critical user need.
Yeah, they need it. They're going to use it.
They need it.
Even if it's a struggle.
They're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, or it might highlight a discrepancy between what users say they're doing and what they're actually doing.
Fascinating.
Right.
We don't always know what we're doing.
No, we don't.
Even if we think we do.
Which is a fascinating insight in itself.
It is.
It's about looking at the bigger picture.
Yes.
Using data from multiple sources to tell a more complete and nuanced story.
100%. And sometimes those data points might even reveal patterns or insights that you hadn't picked up on just from the qualitative data alone.
So we've talked about the why behind user behavior and how those qualitative insights can drive some real business results.
Yeah.
But let's get down to like the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
The tools and resources that can help you gather the data you need to make your case ironclad.
Yes, this is where those aha moments transform into, here's the data, folks.
Yes.
And lucky for us, Anderson shared a whole arsenal of tools she's used over the years.
She did.
You know, from her experience. And she made it very clear these weren't paid endorsements.
Right.
Just tried and true tools from the trenches of user research.
Yes.
So let's start with the heavy hitters.
Okay.
The analytics platforms.
Okay.
Anderson specifically called out Google Analytics, Mixpanel, and Amplitude.
The classics.
Yeah, these are the workhorses of understanding user behavior on websites and apps.
Right.
They track everything, from how many people are visiting your site to where they're coming from to what they're doing once they get there.
So we're talking about identifying those high traffic areas, those dead ends where users kind of drop off and everything in between.
Precisely. And those insights can be pure gold when you're trying to measure the impact of your research.
Okay.
Remember that example we discussed earlier, the one about users struggling to find a specific product on an e-commerce site?
Yeah, they had that qualitative data from user interviews.
Right, but they needed more to back it up.
Exactly.
So they could use an analytics tool to see if those struggles were reflected in their data.
Okay.
Are people even landing on the product page? Are they clicking the Add to Cart button?
Right.
This data helps pinpoint the source of the problem, whether it's poor navigation, a confusing product description, or something else entirely.
It's like getting to the bottom of a mystery.
It is a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Data-driven decision-making at its finest.
There you go.
It's not enough to say, we think this is happening. We've got to back it up.
Show me the data.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of testing assumptions, Anderson also mentioned the importance of A/B testing tools.
Okay.
Like Optimizely, VWO Google, Optimize, all the classics.
A/B testing, the gold standard for comparing different versions of a web page, an app feature, you name it, to see which one performs better.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of those design decisions.
Right.
And proves the value of those user-centered changes.
I love that.
Love a good A/B test. So let's say you redesign that confusing product page.
Okay.
Based on feedback from your user interviews. A/B testing lets you show one group of users the old version, and another group the new improved version.
Okay.
And then you track those key metrics, conversion rates, bounce rates, time on page, to see which version reigns supreme.
It's like a user research cage match.
A little bit.
Right, yeah.
But data-driven.
Exactly. And takes out the ego, too.
Exactly. No more. But I like the old button better.
Exactly.
Sorry, gotta follow the data.
The data has spoken.
Data has spoken.
Music to any stakeholder's ears.
For sure.
Now, Anderson's toolbox didn't stop there.
Okay.
She also mentioned survey and feedback tools like SurveyMonkey Typeform Qualtrics. These can be so valuable for gathering large-scale quantitative data to complement those rich qualitative insights.
Absolutely. We want that mix of qualitative and quantitative data working together in perfect harmony.
Yes. And let's not forget about those heat mapping and session recording tools.
Oh, yeah.
Like Hotjar and Crazy Egg talk about getting inside the mind of the user.
I know it's a little creepy.
It is, but also fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can see exactly where they're clicking, how far they're scrolling, even where their mouse is hovering.
It's like watching a highlight reel of their experience on your site.
It is. It's like watching a game film.
Yes, exactly.
To see how you can improve.
And those heat maps can be especially revealing.
Oh, for sure.
Showing you where users are getting stuck or frustrated.
100%.
Yeah. And finally, Anderson mentioned revenue impact calculators.
Okay.
These are powerful tools that help you connect the dots between those user-centric changes and the financial bottom line.
Yeah, got to bring it back to the bottom line.
Right.
Always.
So if you can quantify how those changes impact metrics like conversion rates or customer lifetime value, you can actually put a dollar amount
yes.
on the impact of your research.
Music to those stakeholders' ears.
Yep.
Show me the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about speaking the language of stakeholders who need to see those tangible returns on
We
investment.
need to see it to believe it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with these tools in hand, you'll be well equipped to demonstrate the value of your work.
100%.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has.
We've gone from unpacking the power of those soft, qualitative insights to exploring the concrete tools and strategies you can use to measure their impact.
The qualitative to the quantitative.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about bridging that gap between user centricity and business success, showing that when we prioritize the needs of our users,
Yeah.
everyone benefits.
Everybody wins.
Exactly.
I love it. And
a huge thank you to Nikki Anderson for sharing her wisdom and experience with us today. And to all you listeners out there, keep asking those tough questions, keep championing the user, and keep diving deep until next time.
bye, everybody.